if you're on a ketogenic diet, should you be afraid of whey protein? This video is going to answer that for you. A lot of people like to advertise the ketogenic diet as a low protein diet. I think that's generally incorrect, and it's just a very unsophisticated way to describe how you should be doing keto. I like to describe keto as a much more of a moderate protein diet, because at the end of the day, all that matters on keto is that you're not having carbohydrates. Whether that means you're having no food at all or just no carbs, you will be in ketosis if you do it for a long enough time period. People tend to say that you shouldn't have large amounts of protein because it will increase your insulin and prevent ketones and stimulate gluconeogenesis, which is where your body turns proteins into glucose. Now, your body won't necessarily turn protein into glucose just because you're having a larger amount, especially if you've been in the diet for longer than a couple weeks. Your body gets better at this diet the longer you do it, and it is less likely to start wanting to change the energy system the longer you're on the diet. It's an adaptation. So when it comes to how much protein you should be having, basically that isn't too much of a concern as long as you're getting adequate fat and adequate calories. Now, the insulinogenic effect of protein is less than the insulinogenic effect of carbs. However, it is higher than the insulinogenic effect of fats. So eating anything is going to increase your insulin because insulin helps your body direct where certain nutrients need to go. But increasing your protein shouldn't be a concern unless you start concerning yourself with the sources and the timing. So this is where whey protein comes in. Now, because whey protein is a very fast digesting source of protein, it does have a larger insulin response. And insulin will only be a problem on this diet when it is being spiked too often or too much. So if you're having carbohydrates, that'll spike your insulin too much and make your body more likely to change energy systems from a ketogenic system to a carb-based system of energy. Whey protein, because of its insulin response, spikes at first and then drops and stays relatively moderate until it drops to eventually allow you to get into the fasted state. You generally don't want to be having whey protein shakes unless you're having them with a fat source or some other source of calories, because at the end of the day, eating a diversity of macronutrients at the same time is going to lower your insulin response. And that's why foods like eggs have a lower insulin response despite having adequate amounts of protein. The studies that indicate that you need to have low amounts of protein were all based off of studies from the 1930s on epileptic children who needed high ketones to avoid having seizures. Now, when it comes to you, all you need to do is be in ketosis. However, if you're having just a shake at a one-off time in the day, that will A, break the fasted state, and B, raise your insulin. So you'd be better off having that whey shake with a meal in order to get your protein requirements. I tend to avoid having whey shakes one-off on their own, unless sometimes I crack a couple eggs in there if I need just calories or nutrients. But at the end of the day, it's better to not have these things on their own in general. This is again because the total amount of protein isn't going to stimulate gluconeogenesis unless you're new to the diet. If you are not new to the diet and gluconeogenesis is a concern to you, you don't need to worry, because gluconeogenesis is only going to happen when your body needs it. Your body only creates protein when it needs it. So if you're doing larger amounts of activity and really burning out your body's going to be more likely to use the carbs that you're eating and the excess protein that you're eating to refill its muscles and repair its muscles. So if you're not eating enough protein, ketones are still have a sparing effect. However, it's not going to create much protein synthesis. And if your goal is to maximize your muscle density and perhaps even grow a little bit on this diet, you're going to need some amino acids. And additionally, there are still 9 essential amino acids which your body needs to get. They are essential. Your body cannot produce them. So it's way better if you're getting an adequate amount of protein and not really concerning yourself with having exceptionally high ketones. That's also because more ketones doesn't necessarily equal more fat loss. If you think about it, if you're eating 80% fats, you're going to be producing more ketones, but your body's going to be producing those ketones from the fats that you're eating. So at the same time you're having higher ketones, it's not because your body's producing them. It's producing a certain amount, and the other amounts of your levels of ketones in your blood are going to be created from your fat that you're eating. So yes, you will feel better. Yes, you will have better cognitive and performance benefits as a result of having higher ketones. However, if your goal is muscle growth or anything that is, has a priority on improving your muscle at the same time you are fat or cutting down fat, then it's better for you to have an adequate amount of protein. Higher ketones doesn't equal more fat loss, and higher ketones doesn't equal more muscle gained. A balance is necessary, and that goes with anything, with any diet. So when it comes to whey shakes, yes, they will affect your insulin, they will spike your insulin, and they're a lot more insulinogenic than BCAAs themselves, which perhaps might even be better for muscle synthesis given the effect of leucine on mTOR, which is a muscle creating pathway in your body. Now, I also have a video on BCAAs and ketogenic diets and intermittent fasting, which you can find on the side or on my page somewhere, or maybe in the link in the bio. Depends where I feel like throwing it. But at the end of the day, if your concern is whey protein shakes on a keto diet, it's a lot better for you to get if you really like protein shakes for whatever reason, or you really can't live without them, switch to a casein protein or some sort of complex protein, because the insulinogenic effect of casein is way lower and out of your system a lot quicker than whey protein. Like I said, anything that digests quickly is going to have a higher insulin response. Now, since whey is so high of a digestive process, it has a much higher insulin effect. So insulin will only be a problem if you're having it at one-off times, which break the fast or break the fat burning periods in your day. If you're having it with a meal, then that's great, because it's going to lower the insulin response of the whey protein itself and also allow you to get that protein in without spiking your insulin randomly in the day. So keep it with a meal. If you can, switch to a casein protein or a complex protein of different composed of different types of protein, and use BCAA strategically after watching my video and finding out how if you want to grow muscle. So don't be afraid of excess protein. Be concerned about the timing of your protein and how quickly your protein is going to digest, because that'll affect your insulin levels and your body's fat burning periods. So hope that video gave you some clarity on how to use whey protein on a ketogenic diet. If you want to learn anything else about this diet or fasting or bodybuilding training, I'd love to answer your questions, so let me know. My name is Anthony Romano. Peace.